Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Check, check, check. Checking in the mic. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Check. Can you check the other mic? Yeah. Can we check the other one? Hold on. Check, check, check. Check, check, check.
Hey, Chris. Chris.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yep. Chris. Chris Goffman, William.
Mic check, mic check. Check, check, check.
Good afternoon. I'm Beth Skinner. I'm the director of the Iowa Department of Corrections. I want to thank you all who are here today, and to all those across the state and country who have offered to our department so much support during this tragedy. The outpouring and support across our state and our nation has been truly overwhelming, and we want to thank you. I call this event a tragedy because that is truly at the heart of what took place yesterday. Two wonderful people had their lives taken them while they're simply trying to do their jobs here in Anamosa. One, a nurse whose main mission was to help and heal our sick. One, an officer whose mission was to help keep this facility safe in order for men here to have a safe and rehabilitative environment. To have these two people taken from us in an act of senseless violence is nothing short of tragic. There are 3,416 employees among our prisons and our CBC districts, and every one of them has a heart that is hurting right now. And while we are grieving the loss of our staff right now, our commitment to our mission has not wavered. We are here to help make Iowa a safer place. That has not changed. While the details of this attack are still being uncovered and investigated by our partners in the DCI, who will soon speak to their role in this process, I want to make it clear about what took place here yesterday. Two public servants were taken from this world by an act that I only can describe as pure evil. Every day, the men and women of this department put on their uniforms and they enter these facilities where, while not common, have acts of violence do occur here when they work. Our brothers and sisters in law enforcement know what I mean when I say we take inherent risk in our work, so hopefully that Iowans can feel safer in their communities. Saying this does not make it easier to accept that these two amazing people are no longer with us today. Their families will never again feel the joy of their loved one coming home at the end of the day. The world is a little darker today than it was just a short time ago, as the lights of these selfless individuals were extinguished yesterday behind these walls. We have been in communication with their families, and out of respect for them, we try to withhold the names of our fallen staff for at least 24 hours. Because their names will be made public, along with the charges being brought, I will share them with you now. Yesterday, we lost registered nurse Lorena Schulte. We lost also correctional officer Robert McFarland. Nurse Schulte was a 50-year-old nurse with the Anamosa State Penitentiary. She served our agency and this facility since July 30th, 2007, and has faithfully served to keep our incarcerated individuals healthy since. Our hearts go out to the family that she leaves behind. Correctional Officer McFarland was a 46-year-old correctional officer here at Anamosa State Penitentiary. He served our agency in this facility since October 20th, 2008, and has faithfully served to keep the inmates and his brothers and sisters that wear the badge safe throughout his career. Our hearts go out to the wife and children he leaves behind. As for those that we believe were involved in this brutal attack on our team members, I will defer to the DCI to provide updates on the accused charges that will be brought against them as they conduct their investigation. They have made every resource available to ensure justice for these victims, families, and the department. I place full faith and confidence in our dedicated partners at DCI and Department of Public Safety. It is my sincere belief that those involved in taking these lives will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. As I conclude, I'd like to leave you with a parting request. Please keep the men and the women of Iowa Corrections in your thoughts.
Say their names. Robert
The-
McFarland and Lorena Schulte.
Those here at Anamosa, as they deal with the loss of their team members, but all those that wear the badge, that risk their jobs every day. I will now let Special Agent in Charge, Agent Ron, on the DCI, give an update on the investigation.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Richard. Last name is Ron, and I'm a Special Agent in Charge with the Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation. We were called in to assist with this investigation yesterday, and I'm here to try to bring you up to date as to the investigation and what we have learned thus far. So on March 23rd at approximately 10:18 a.m., the Jones County Dispatch Center received a 911 call from the facility behind me here. Essentially, they were told that 3 staff members had been injured and possibly 4 individuals were injured, and they responded accordingly. When they arrived, they found Correctional Officer Robert McFarland had received blunt force trauma to the back of his head, and also they had located Lorena Schulte within the facility as well. She too had received blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Also injured during this incident was inmate McKinley Roby. He also received blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Mr. Roby has been transported to the University of Iowa Hospital, where he is being treated for those injuries and where he remains currently. There have been a number of agencies involved in this investigation, and they have assisted with collecting facts and information as well as evidence at the scene. The investigation thus far has revealed this: that the 2 individuals who are responsible for this heinous act, Thomas Woodard and Michael Ducher, they were attempting to escape the facility, and essentially Mr. McFarland and Ms. Schulte interceded there, attempted to stop the escape, and subsequently received the injuries that they did. Michael Ducher is 28 years old. He was initially committed to the facility here for robbery 1st degree, 2 counts, robbery 2nd degree, ongoing criminal conduct, criminal network, prohibited acts, and he was sentenced to 50 years. His effective date here was on May 14, 2015, and anticipated release date would have been April 18, 2057. Thomas Woodard, age 39, was also here for robbery 1st degree and burglary 1st degree. His sentence was 25 years, and effective date would have been on January 13, 2017, and anticipated release date would have been March 10, 2029. The investigation is ongoing. We continue to interview individuals. We continue to collect as much evidence as we possibly can. I won't be able to provide all the information, but I can tell you this: that Mr. Dutcher and Woodard attempted to escape by shattering glass in the break room within the infirmary. By doing so, that allowed them access to the bars, and they then took a grinder and attempt to grind away the bars in hopes to being able to escape through the window. I can inform everyone here that they were not successful whatsoever in making any success with grinding the bars down, and there is no concerns about escape in terms of them being able to climb out the window, because they were completely unsuccessful in their attempts. Mr. McFarland was present within the break room when he was attacked with what appears to have been a hammer that was brought in with the 2 defendants. Ms. Schulte also was attacked with a hammer and received blunt force trauma to the back of her head with a hammer. As this event was taking place, a staff member, Lori Mathias, attempted to assist and render aid to her fellow employees. And in doing so, she was grabbed by Dutcher, and Woodward was present during this time. Matthias was told that she would be next if she didn't cooperate, and she was held against her will. After a period of time, she was then released when Dutcher ran out of the break room. He was witnessed running out of the break room by a number of employees covered in blood, and he was subsequently apprehended in an adjacent yard at the time. As previously mentioned, 2 hammers were used in the assault. Those were located within the break room of the facility, as was the grinder. Both individuals were interviewed by agents with the DCI. Woodard made admissions that placed him in the room at the time of the killing, and witnesses identified Woodard as a person who attacked and killed Schulte. Dutcher made admissions that also placed him in the room and concerning his involvement in the deaths of both victims, including admitting responsibility for causing the deaths. This afternoon, both individuals have been formally charged. Both individuals have been charged with first-degree murder, 2 counts, 1 count of attempted murder, and 1 count of kidnapping, 2nd degree. If convicted, first-degree murder carries a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole. As I mentioned earlier, we are continuing to conduct interviews. That is ongoing. The investigation is not complete, and if we are able to provide additional information, we certainly will do so when appropriate. The affidavit for Dutcher and Woodard will be posted on our website for access if you choose to download that, along with photographs of both defendants. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Do we know how the inmates were able to access hammers?
Well, this facility has a work program, and as part of that work program, like any other facility here within the state, there are tools that are accessible for them.
And is that where the grinder came from too?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it from Iowa Prison Industries, that work program, or other work within the facility?
Within the facility.
Okay. They're not members of IPI.
I'm not aware of that, no ma'am.
Are those tools locked up after using for those work programs? How did they access it?
They certainly are locked up, and there's a process in place, but I'm not going to go into the details as to how that process is at this point.
Are you looking at changing that process?
That's beyond my purview. I'm here for the criminal investigation, and so I'm not here to speak to the administrative or to the policies and procedures for the institution.
Can we get the spelling of the victim's name?
Sure. Lorena, I'm sorry?
And the inmates, please.
So Lorena is Lorena, Schulte, Schulte. Robert McFarland, Robert, McFarland, MC, capital Farland. McKinley Roby is MC, capital Kinley, Roby, Roby. Michael Dutcher is common spelling Michael, Dutcher, Dutcher. Thomas Woodard, common spelling.
Woodard.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us how McKinley Roby was involved and what injuries he
Sure.
sustained?
Yeah, Roby again sustained trauma to the back of his head, very similar to our 2 decedents. And he actually, as we understand it, went to render aid to help out as much as he could, and as a result, sustained the injuries from our 2 defendants.
What's his condition?
I don't know. He's currently being treated at the University of Iowa Hospital, but he's stable. Beyond that, I don't know what else his condition is.
Were the 2 perpetrators, would they have been required to sign off with a prison staff member saying, we returned these hammers, we returned this grinder, or is it, do they just put it in and lock it up themselves?
Again, I'm not here to speak to the policies and procedures of the institution. Again, that's beyond my purview.
Convets to it?
Yeah, after we get done with any other questions I might have.
What were the job responsibilities of the inmates?
I don't know that. I'm sorry.
This might be a question for Beth, but when was the last time an officer was killed on the line of duty?
Yeah, I'll leave that for Beth.
Okay.
members who were killed, were they dead here on the scene, or were they transported? Was there any aid that could be rendered?
Well, certainly staff immediately tried to render aid, life-saving aid, but they were unsuccessful. Ms. Schulte was pronounced here at the facility. Mr. McFarland was transported and while en route passed away to the hospital.
Do you know yet how long this breakout attempt was planned? Was it a spur of the moment thing, or had they been planning this?
It had been planned for some time. Those details I'm not going to get into, but it had been planned by them for some time.
Have they been showing any recent behavior or anything that would give staff members suspicion?
Not that we're aware of, no.
How were they allowed to be free moving and able to access the break room?
Well, the break room was part of the infirmary, and so they made access or gained access into the break room once they got into the infirmary.
And were they going with the idea under the guise of getting medical treatment?
Under a ruse of repairing some equipment.
How long did the incident last?
It was very short. It was not prolonged. The exact amount of time is unknown, but we don't feel that it was a very prolonged event.
Were they saying they were going to repair equipment in the break room or in the infirmary?
All I can say is within that area. I'm not sure if it's break room or the infirmary at this point.
Were they part of the crew that did repairs around the facility?
I don't know. I don't have that information.
Any indication there's other accomplices?
Not at this point. We're certainly interviewing everybody that we can. If we do find that and believe that there are other people responsible for that, we will certainly pursue that. But at this point, everything that we have collected thus far indicates that Dutcher and Woodard are responsible for this.
And with the crimes they were in prison for, were they under, what level of security were they under?
That would be a question for those behind me.
Okay.
Would you say this would have been worse if the other inmate and the nurse hadn't intervened?
Let me speak to that. Mr. Roby certainly did everything he could to save those two. And I will tell you that both Ms. Schulte and McFarland are heroes. They're heroes. They did everything they could to help each other, but by their actions, they were able to save Ms. Mathias's life. So they need to be recognized for the things that they did at that point in time. They gave up their life and actually ended up saving another life.
How did they do that?
Well, as we understand it, Ms. Schulte tried to again render aid for Bob and vice versa, but there is a system in place to make alarms, and I won't go into all that, but Bob did what he could to help both Schulte and Mathias, but because of their actions, again, Ms. Mathias was able to escape.
So was Ms. Mathias grabbed first and then they were attacked?
No, the other two were attacked first, and then she was grabbed and kidnapped. That would be the reason for the second-degree kidnapping charge. The attempted murder would be because of the assault on Mr. Roby.
What sort of evidence are you reviewing? Is there video or is it mostly eyewitness statements?
That's all going to be part of the investigation. I won't be able to release that at this point in time. Well, if there are any other questions, I know you might have a couple more for the director, but again, we appreciate you coming out, and again, we will try to provide as much information as we can. The affidavit and photographs will be posted on our website if you want to download that.
I do have one more.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you said there's some systems in place if something like this happens, they alert, sound alarms. Would you say that worked in this instance? Was it a proper protocol?
Yes. Yes. Right. Thank you.
I know there's a couple other questions that want to be addressed around more the administrative process. The first one I remember off the top of my head was the last time something like this happened. We did some digging and some research around when this has happened. We roughly believe the last time this happened was in 1975, and